all the things that go along with that. We had 2 great services yesterday. They were amazing. Praise team was amazing. It just keeps getting gooder and gooder, as Mike says. But it was good. It was really good. We didn't have women's meeting last night because we had, but because of Father's Day. I would have went ahead and had it because I didn't celebrate Father's Day with my dad being gone, but I know a lot of ladies did celebrate their fathers or their husbands or whatever it may be. So we will pick up again on Wednesday morning at 10:30. Men will have their meeting tomorrow at 7. So those are the things coming up. I prayed this morning, been praying. I did not sleep maybe 2 hours last night, and I'm not really sure why. Just had a lot on my mind, a lot of hard decisions that I'm trying to make that the Lord woke me up at 5 o'clock Saturday morning and said, make that make sense. And I told him I couldn't make it make sense. So he's moving, I'm moving, but I want to be moving in will with him. That's my whole goal. So pray with me as I make some really hard, tough decisions. But he led me to Ecclesiastes 3, which is Solomon's general observations. And it says, a time for everything. There is a time for everything, a season for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die. And sometimes that time to be born and a time to die is not anywhere near long enough. It's not anywhere near long enough. My dad was 74 when he passed away, and that wasn't long enough. Wanted him here till he was 100. His grandmother, both sides of his dad's mom and his mom's mom both lived to be over 100. And so I just wanted that for my dad too, but that's not how it happened. A time to plant and a time to harvest. I have enjoyed watching Danny planted in raised beds back there. He planted several things, and I have enjoyed watching them grow from the little bitty plants and some of it seed, and watching it grow and mature and produce, and it's just amazing to me. I think that is just so cool. I planted wildflower seeds, and what I did is I took 2 boxes and just kind of went in a stretch of dirt that I have, watching those bloom, all different ones. I mean, I have so many different flowers out there, and it's just amazing. I feel so blessed just to be able to walk by. I walk by them every morning and look at them and marvel at how many more have bloomed or whatever. But it's so cool. And they cut our fields and they baled the hay. I think that's amazing. To me, one of the most beautiful pictures that you could ever take is of a hayfield with bales of hay on it right after it's been cut. That to me is, I don't know why, I am not a country girl, wasn't raised in the country, but I just think that's just the most beautiful picture. A time to kill and a time to heal. The time to heal sometimes takes us a long time. It takes us a long, long time to heal. When my mom passed away, a lot of childhood things that I had repressed for a while started coming back. And the anniversary of her passing was last Friday. And I'm still trying to heal. It was 2 years ago that she passed. I'm still trying to heal some of those things that I don't know. And then with my sister passing, and there were more. It's just like that time to heal can take a long time. A time to tear down and a time to rebuild. And the time to tear down is not somebody else. Sometimes we need to tear ourselves down, reconstruct ourselves, bring ourselves back to where we need to be. A time to cry and a time to laugh. And sometimes those are the exact same time. A time to grieve and a time to dance. Grieving takes a long, long time. My dad's been gone 11 years. And man, there are days I still am a mess because I miss him so, so desperately. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace and a time to turn away. A time to search and a time to lose. A time to keep and time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be quiet and a time to speak up. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. There is time for everything. Sometimes we try to rush God's timing, and he's saying, sister, make that make sense. What have I asked you to do? Didn't ask you about all that other stuff. Do what I ask you to do. My conversation with God was lengthy on Saturday morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not a morning person, but it was lengthy, and I was thankful for it. So thankful for it. What do people really get for their hard work? I have thought about this in connection with various kinds of work God has given people to do, because he's given us all something to do. Some of us are prayer warriors. Some of us are prayer walkers. Some of us are healers. Some of us are can prophesy. Some of us are teachers. Some of us are leaders. Some of us are preachers. Some of us, he is giving each one of us something to do. And it doesn't matter how young or how old. It doesn't matter if you don't feel like you can't get out there and run that race, then your job may change to prayer warrior. I am so thankful for the prayer warriors we have in this church, because without them, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine. I just can't imagine. It's amazing to me. God has made everything beautiful for its own time. I'm doing a devotional at home, and this morning it was talking about made in his image. And this is one of the verses that it brought me to. God has made everything beautiful for its own time. God made us beautiful for him. God made us in his image. God made us to do as he has asked us to do. We have to quit letting other people dictate what we do, what we say, where we go, who we are. We have to quit. We have to quit allowing that. If God is telling us to go, we need to go. We need to go do what he says. Because if we don't, we will get that punishment because we didn't do what he asked us to do. He planted eternity in the human heart, but even so, people cannot see the whole scope of God's work from beginning to end. We can't see it. We don't know. It's so unfathomable. It's amazing to me. So I conclude there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to enjoy themselves as long as they can. And people should eat and drink and enjoy the fruits of their labor, for these are gifts from God. And I know that whatever God does is final. He has the final say. Nothing can be added to it or taken away from it. God's purpose is that people should fear him. Whatever exists today and whatever will exist in the future has already existed in the past, for God calls each event back in its turn. History repeats itself. Sometimes we don't learn our lesson, and it repeats itself harder and harder and harder. But God created us for such a time as this. I worry about my grandbabies. Went and visited Lake and Baylor yesterday. Me and Baylor just had the best time till she decided to take her water balloons and pop them all over me. But we had a great time. And I worry about my grandbabies, but I remember and am reminded that God made them for such a time as this. Does that mean that I don't need to set an example for them? Absolutely not. They need that example set for them. They need to see who God is, and they need to know who he is and how amazing he is and the power that he has given them. So I hope today that you will know that there is a time for everything. And whatever time you're going through, whether you're going through a storm, you're coming out of that storm, or you may be fixing to go into another one, there's a time for everything. And we need to hear God, listen to him, and say, yes, sir. I gotcha. I'm going to do what you asked me to do. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they do. They crucified Jesus. They can crucify me too if that's what needs to happen. And a lot of people we're all guilty of crucifying people with our words. And usually our words are driven by envy, strife, anxiety, all of those things. Lake was telling me he went to see the new movie Inside Out 2. And it's the one about emotions, which I don't know. My daughter said it was a great movie, and it talks about how all the emotions have to work together to make you the core of who you are. And how some emotions can just take over. And I guess in the movie it talked about anxiety taking over, but a lot of times it can be anger that takes over, or it can be jealousy that takes over, it can be envy. Envy and jealousy are not the exact same thing. They're close, but they're not the exact same thing. Or it can be pride. It can be so many things, and we just need to know that there's a time, and if we'll follow God, follow His call, those times will be in His hands and not in ours. Lean not on your own understanding. That verse keeps popping up to me and popping up to me and popping up to me, because I want to know why certain things are happening, why certain events have happened, or why certain things have been said, or and the Lord just keeps putting that in my spirit. Lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge me, and I will mark your path straight. So that's what I'm going to do. Got some decisions to make. They're hard. But I know with God, all things are possible, and that He has a purpose and a plan for me, and that's all I want to do is follow that and be obedient to Him. So have a great Monday. It is windy out there. Windy. I brought Stella to work with me today. She doesn't get to come to work with me all the time anymore because there's just a lot of stuff sometimes going on out here, and she likes to be in the middle of it always. But we had gone outside to walk, and she found the kitty that's been hanging out here some. It disappears for a couple of weeks at a time, and it comes back, and she found the kitty, and the kitty didn't like her and got her on the nose, so she's laying back here pouting. But it is windy, it is warm, we need some rain, but it doesn't look like we're going to get anytime soon. But stay hydrated if you're out in it. If you're working out in it, stay hydrated. The humidity has my not really curly hair trying to be curly hair. I don't know what it's trying to do. I'm not one to wear my hair back very often, but I've been wearing my hair back a lot lately because it's doing its own thing. But stay cool, stay in the shade, take many breaks if you are out working in it, and I hope to see you guys back here tomorrow. Have a great Monday.